Hi guys, it's Baby Peach, and here we are with another episode of Higurashi. Michan, I'm going to check the main house just to be sure, okay? I'll be right back. Raina darted away. What? A main house? It's the Furude family's actual house. After her parents passed away, I think it's been left like that. Right. Rika-chan's parents, they passed away, huh? At that point, I recalled something else. Wasn't Satoko living here too? Satoko's also an orphan. Her parents fell from a cliff because of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Then her older brother, Satoshi-kun, he disappeared. Satoshi, I've heard that name before. I remembered. He was the one who disappeared last year because of the curse. Ever since then, Satoko and Rika-chan have been living in this shack. Neither of them has any family, but at least they're together. They help each other out. Reina said main house, didn't she? Wanted it to be easier to live there. The curtains were drawn, so I couldn't get a good look inside to see, but two young girls living together seemed like a pretty tough life. I think she tried that at first. She said it was hard, though, because it reminded her of her parents. I had no idea. I feel really bad for them. They were normally so cheerful at school that I never even realized an atom of this. Rika-chan and Satoko-chan, they have it hard, huh? She's cursed. Huh? Suddenly Mion said something in a low voice that it sounded like she was really cursing someone, and I didn't let it slide. I turned around on the ladder to face her and asked again. Mion, what did you just say? I said she's cursed. Mion, still holding onto the ladder, brought her head up to look at me in the eyes. As soon as our eyes met, an absolute zero jolt of electricity surged through my body. Mion's eyes clouded over, and within them boiled and bubbled a stew of chaos. They whirled around and around like a raging sea, and bubbles floated to the surface. I had at some point been trapped on this ladder, like being cornered on a dead-end street. Mion, why are you making that face? I intended to follow that up with, "You're going too far with this joke," and give her a forced smile. However, on such uneven footing as I was, the only thing that came out of my mouth was a hoarse groan as I desperately struggled to not let nausea overwhelm me. Satoko Hojo. She's been cursed by Oyashiro-sama. Mion answers with a response to something I never asked, as if replying to somebody else's question. The only person who fell from the park observation platform were her parents. Only her parents, who treated her like dirt, died that day. She was the only one to survive. Then she was sent to live with her aunt, who treated her cruelly, and the aunt was killed on the night of Watanagashi by some deviant, who beat her to death so violently her brains were everywhere and her head an entirely different shape by the end of it. Then Satoshi-kun, who always protected her, he suddenly disappeared on her birthday. Someone made him disappear, even though he wasn't abusing her. The police judged him to have run away from home, but Satoshi-kun wasn't that kind of person who would do that. He was always earnest. He would never ask for anyone else's help. He would always drag himself through everything with hard work alone. He worked so hard, he nearly ground his bones into dust. All for this one and little sister, and yet someone made him disappear. She was the only one he lived for, and yet someone made him disappear. Poor Satoshi-kun. He was never rewarded, that Satoshi-kun. How ungrateful that child is. She is cursed. All who get near her suffer the same fate. The curse kills them, or the curse makes them disappear. She cannot have any relief. She cannot have relief. It's probably Satoko's fault that Rika-chan disappeared too, It has to be, 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 it has to. Mian was mumbling words over and over that were no longer coherent. Her shoulders were trembling so hard that I could feel it through the ladder. I almost lost my footing, which made me realize just how far away the ground really was. Calm down, Mian. I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't sure if she even heard me. Mian rocked back and forth, and that rocking and trembling was becoming even more violent. Help me. The ladder, it's falling. Help me. Help. Just then I heard the sound of many people running towards us. Oh, hey, over here. I very nearly said help me out, right? 4 or 5 adults, led by Reina, ran over here with flashlights. Keiichi-kun, Mi-chan, sorry I took so long. I borrowed the key. Oh, nice one. Seems like all the windows and doors are perfectly sealed. I was getting worried. When I heard Mian talking like nothing had just happened, I again felt a chill run through me. The person currently holding the ladder in place, it was definitely Mian. It was the real Mian Sonozaki. Then, the person muttering to themselves just a few seconds ago, who was that? The person who was mumbling about terrible things like curses, who was that? I jumped down from the ladder as if running away before Mian turned into that person who wasn't Mian a second time. The adults tried a few different keys on the key ring as they tried to open the big shutter on the first floor. Rika-chan's house used to be a disaster shelter for the town council, so the key to the shutter is still kept in the mayor's house. It's Rika-chan and Satoko's private residence now, though. Well, this is on Rika-chan's property anyway. Nobody complains about it. Mian gave me a smile as she said that. I, however, could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Mian was acting all too normal now, but that only contrasted all the more sharply with her earlier un-Mian-like creepiness. Bang, bam, clatter, 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 bang. The shutter opened up for the first time in a very long while. Reina located the light switch and wasted no time going inside. I followed her in. Rika-chan, Satoko-chan, if you're here, say something. We climbed a narrow staircase. It had looked like nothing more than a warehouse, but now that I was inside, I could feel how lived in it was. It was a person's home. Somehow the scent of the two of them filled the place. This was definitely where Rika-chan and Satoko lived. The first floor doubled as a town assembly warehouse, but the second floor was a space entirely for living. Just like a one-room apartment past the kitchen was a living room taking up about 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards, and the like were all packed into the space, and in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have just been taken in from drying outside. In the center of the living room was a fold-up table, and on it were small containers for things like soy sauce and salad dressing. The sense of a frugal lifestyle drifted from all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night like this. The adults, climbing the stairs one at a time, began to make a fuss and talk amongst themselves. So, not here? Yeah, they're not here. This is definitely weird. The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. Then today, even Rika-chan and Satoko had. Were they out playing somewhere together? That can't be. Their bicycles aren't here, though. Where would they have gone so late at night? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. Eventually, Mian settled them down. I don't want to believe it, but the mayor, Kimiyoshi, disappeared yesterday. We can't say that this is unrelated. The adults' faces paled at Mian's declaration. Mine and Raina's did as well. Let's see, they could have gone nearby for some tea or something, then accidentally fallen asleep. Whoever invited them might just not be able to wake them up at all too. Let's eliminate that possibility first. Makina-san, please go around to the houses near the stream. Keitaro-san, go look near Ojigal Lake. Okamura-san, Mion promptly gave directions to the villagers. The adults followed them without hesitation despite her age. We'll remain here and call up anyone we can think of on the phone. Okay, everyone, you have your orders. Got it. The adults all roared in reply and pounded back down the stairs below. Wow, Mi-chan, you're not only a chairperson of the school, but Hinamizawa too. No time for jokes. Hey, step aside. This old man is using the phone. Mion grinned proudly, took the receiver, and got started. Reina gave Mion a trusting look, considering her dependable for doing all of this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated, since her leadership seemed to be affirming the Sonozaki family successor impression that Shion and Oishi-san had given me. Stop right there, Keiichi Maibara. None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika-chan and Satoko are safe. Let's see, couldn't there be a clue hinting at where they might have gone somewhere in this room? Still though, I wouldn't know what to look for anyway. If we tore the whole place apart and figured out what was different from before, we might be able to speculate, but there was nothing strange about this room, and there were no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never been here before. There was no way for me to know what was different if I didn't know how the room usually looked. Hey, don't give up, Keiichi Maibara. Stop thinking and start looking for something. In search of something, I tried pulling open the dresser drawers and open the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful, though. Reina was unable to stand around doing nothing, was looking around the room like I was. Reina, I don't think you'll find Rika-chan by opening the refrigerator or the cabinet underneath the sink. I just thought they might be hiding. Ha ha. As we were searching, it got noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably people Mion had called. I'll go tell everyone what's going on. The police will be here sooner or later, too. We'll need to explain the situation to Oishi. Mion began descending the stairs, and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already around 10 adults there, and all of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed that the old people from the shrine were here as well, and they were praying for Rika-chan's safety, rubbing their prayer beads. This had gotten bad. This wasn't just a problem between friends anymore. Mion-chan, is it true that Rika-chan and Satoko-chan aren't anywhere to be found? The villagers all formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. Mion raised her right hand as if silently telling them to calm down. First, let's check every house according to the town council's notification division and see if they're visiting anyone. After all, they could be fast asleep at someone's house and totally unaware that we're looking for them. It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika-chan if she had eaten a good full meal and fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. Oh, how nice it would be if that were the case. I don't want to think about this, but it's also possible something bad has happened. Mion's face grew remarkably more grim, and a wave of silence washed over the adults. We should divide up the work, too. We'll go around to all the places we went last night while looking for the mayor. We'll go look around the damn construction site as best we can. You guys go search around the school. Right. Let's get a move on. Come on, let's go. All of you were up all night looking for the mayor. I know you're all low on sleep, but please do your best. Got it. With that as their signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else had gone in. I was getting farther and farther from people. I didn't feel scared or anything, though. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I should be first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark. However, I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It was because tonight, someone had already disappeared, so nobody else would disappear tonight. It would take some time before I, exhausted as I was, would feel guilt at the cause of my own selfish sense of relief. Suddenly my vision cleared and a cold wind caressed my body. This was the hill from which you could see the whole village. Looking down from this hill, I could see the lights on here and there and knew that the entire village had woken from its slumber. First Tanako-san and Tomitaki-san, and then the mayor, and now even Rika-chan and Satoko had been sacrificed, and word of it was spreading everywhere. The strength in my knees had left me. This could no longer be a joke. We could have found them. Mion would have told me I was a worrywart. Reina would just be glad we did. And they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awakening from a dream. That was the view I could see from telling me. Following my knees, my arms both bent forward onto the ground, and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out if I was feeling sorrow or frustration. Is this my fault? I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and I had just told Rika-chan about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika-chan and even Satoko had been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I would each have to bear the weight of until we ourselves were erased. Well, if I'm going that far, then the problem started long before that. My original sin of breaking taboo and entering the ritual storehouse without asking. I knew I shouldn't have gone in there from the start, yet I lost out to cheap curiosity. I hadn't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. There was a crunching sound. I wasn't even interested in who made that noise, despondent as I was. Keiichi-kun? Keiichi-kun, are you okay? It was Reina. Perhaps my clawing at the ground made it look like I was having stomach pains. She ran over and rubbed my back like she was trying to make me feel better. This is all my fault. It's because of me. It's my fault. Keiichi-kun's fault? You didn't do anything wrong. Please don't blame yourself for this. I could tell Reina was doing her best to choose the right words out of consideration for me. That's why I could sense her intent behind those words. Keiichi-kun, you know why Rika-chan and Satoko-chan disappeared, don't you? This is what she really meant to say. Because it was an emergency. Reina had ignored the reason why I wanted to make sure Rika-chan was safe, but now that we'd actually confirmed her disappearance, it was only natural Reina would start to wonder about why. However, with the situation having gone this far, I couldn't possibly tell her now. I didn't want to admit that Rika-chan and Satoko had disappeared, but I couldn't let Reina disappear either. Keiichi-kun, if you stay out here in the wind, you'll catch a cold. Reina sat down, bringing her eyes level with mine. They told us that children should go back home to sleep. Reina showed me her watch as she said that. It was long past 1 a.m. Time was passing too quickly. Had I been crawling around here for that long? If we don't sleep soon, we'll have trouble getting up for school tomorrow. Even the adults are really worn out, since they were up searching for the mayor last night too. They were saying they'd break up a little earlier tonight. I was a little upset that they weren't allotting as much time to this as they had to search for the mayor last night, but that was something the cause of everything, had no right to criticize them for. It's alright, the police arrived a little while ago. Look, there's police cars coming into the village right now. Hearing that remark, I looked down at the village to see that there were indeed more cars than one would normally expect at this hour, coming from the darkness on the other side of the mountain. However, none of their emergency lights were on. Of course, their sirens weren't wailing either. That's right. All of the incidents had occurred right after Watanagashi were seen as the product of Oyashiro-sama's curse and would be handled in secrecy. Rika-chan and Sadako too. Their disappearance would end up exactly like the other serial incidences in the past. Surreptitious, unresolved, declared a mystery, and disappear from memory. Rika-chan's face, her sweet face like a Western doll's, would fade away. Sadako's smile, her energetic, fanged smile, would fade away. The more I tried to remember them, the less I would be able to. I deserved to be called an idiot 12 times over, and it wouldn't be enough. I couldn't hold back the tears at my own sheer stupidity. I don't know what you're blaming yourself for, Keiichi-kun, but you should stop. I wasn't about to deny it. I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't affirm it either. I wanted to at least keep Reina out of this. If she had found out, she would become involved. Please, Reina, could you just leave me alone? Even if I went home, I wouldn't be able to sleep. If I couldn't get to sleep, then I at least wanted to search for Rika-chan and Satoko until I collapsed. The entire village was looking, and yet they still hadn't been found. I don't think I'd be able to find them if I went looking alone at this point. Still, I had to do it. They disappeared because of me. I couldn't possibly go to sleep while other people are out there searching. I had said that to myself in self-depreciation, but I soon realized that Reina was silently trying to find the meaning in my mumblings. I realized I had misspoke. It's Keiichi-kun's fault? Why do you think that? Why? That can't be. Keiichi-kun, you're not at fault. I was happy that Reina said these things to me, but she only did so because she didn't know the truth. If she knew that everything had been caused by my breaking taboo on the night of the Watanagashi, then even Reina would curse my existence. However, I can't even allow for those curses. That would mean confessing my own crimes to Reina. If I spilled even one word of having snuck into the ritual storehouse on the night of the Watanagashi, then even Reina could disappear tomorrow night. The gentle-spirited, always joking, always howling, but at a time like this, the most dependable person in the world, Reina might disappear. I don't want that. Anything but that. This time, I need to bear my own cross, alone. Keiichi-kun, I know that you always have your friends in your heart. I can really understand feeling like you want to kick yourself. Reina knows, though, that is not Keiichi-kun's fault. You didn't do anything wrong, Keiichi-kun, and I know that. You know that? The shivering in my veins rushed up my back and replaced the sorrow in my heart with fear. I didn't tell her anything, did I? Maybe I accidentally said something that caused Reina to figure it out. This is bad. Now Reina will disappear. Reina will disappear. Reina will disappear. Then Reina, the same way I always did, grabbed my head and began to pet it roughly. Keiichi-kun, are you thinking that Reina might disappear now too, because of Oyashiro-sama's curse? She puts more force into the hand rubbing my head. You don't need to worry about that. Reina isn't going anywhere, I promise. Why, how can you say that with such confidence? I mean, someone's been sacrificed every night so far. There was no proof that it wouldn't happen again tomorrow night. There was even less proof after all that the sacrifice wouldn't be Reina. I don't care who you are. Just please, if you're going to erase someone, erase me first. Please, stop cruelly getting rid of people we're close to, like the mayor for Shion and Rika-chan and Satoko for me. Shion's hysterical shouting came back to my mind. They must be planning to kill us last of all. They're not killing the first people who come to mind. They start by killing those we're close to, and then after they've caused us so much pain, they'll kill us. That must be what they're doing. Reina? Please don't disappear. Please don't. As long as I'm still here, I could no longer conceal the sobs welling up within me. Come on, Keiichi-kun, crying doesn't suit you. Let's go back to the others. The housewives are cooking some miso soup for us. It'll warm you up and calm you down. Reina prompted me to stand. I didn't have the energy to oppose her, so I stood as she urged me to. We returned to the shrine grounds to find several gas stoves there with miso soup in big pots. The many villagers there sipped at the soup they were given in dead stony silence. Their expressions were absolutely exhausted. Everyone had just been running around the village until a little while ago. From the dreary looks on their faces, though, I assumed they hadn't come up with anything yet. Kei-chan, where did you go? I was worried you disappeared too. Sorry. Mion had out some miso soup for me, but I refused the offer. I didn't have much of an appetite. Mi-chan, how is it? Did you find any clues? Mion took a sip of her soup, her expression frank. None at all. School ended and they went home. Then the two of them went somewhere on their bicycles. Moreover, nobody ever saw them riding their bikes, so... When it gets dark out in Hinamizawa, people quickly vanish from the streets. Aside from adults hurrying back home from town in cars or on bicycles, it was normal to see absolutely nobody walking around outside. It wasn't at all strange that nobody had seen Rika-chan and Satoko riding their bikes. It was the same last night with the mayor. There's no hope. Mion's apathetic tone pricked my nerves, but that anger quickly subsided. She had been doing all sorts of things to try and find Rika-chan until just a second ago. If I asked her, she'd probably say she was up all night last night too, looking for the mayor, wouldn't she? She must have been far more fatigued than I was. Besides, what about me? I had just spent the time hunched over in indecision all alone. I had no right to say anything about Mion. Kei-chan, I know it's hard, but let's turn in for the night. We just decided we should break up the search for now. Drink this and let's call it quits. Is this the end? Oh no, of course not. Once it's bright out again, we'll do a more thorough search with the police's help. They could have gone to Okinomiya too. People are even saying we should go through all of the Shishibone city investigating whether there are any witnesses for both of the girls and the mayor. Anyway, what happened, Kei-chan? Where did you go off to? You vanished all of a sudden. I was really worried. Suddenly, I was on the receiving end, but I didn't have the willpower to respond. Sorry, I'll be more careful. Nothing happened? There wasn't anyone suspicious spying on or stalking you? Nothing like that? Mion demanded with a serious expression. I was being criticized for how inconsiderate I had been. Despite being in so much pain, I was frustrated that I was being criticized, but it was my sin. My sin, and I must bear it alone. Nothing. I'll be more careful either way. Sorry. Mion, now aware that nothing had happened, heaved a big sigh with her shoulders looking relieved. Oh, my. I knew I smelled something good coming from over here. I'd be much obliged if you'd allow me to have some. We heard the repulsive voice of a fat man. It was Oishi-san, trailed by a handful of police officers. He was acting energetically in a way uplifting, given the situation. There's not much left, but you can have some if you want. Mion didn't like Oishi-san very much. Her cold attitude, though, didn't seem to bother Oishi-san in the slightest. It was the splashing water in a frog's face. Well now, miso soup leftovers have a bit too much salt for my taste. Confound it. Would you all like any? He recommended it to his subordinates, but everyone gave dry smiles and refused. So have the police gotten any hold of any clues? Reina's smile was warm enough to replace the miso soup. Don't you worry, little missy. Everything's fine. We're searching for them real good. He didn't say a word about having found any new clues. In other words, there had been no progress. That sure was an annoying way of beating around the bush. In any case, it really has gotten late. All of you youngsters should get on home and get some sleep. It'll be bad for your health otherwise. Yeah, K-chan, Reina, get some rest. These guys get our tax money. They'll handle it from here for us. We're taxpayers too, you know. It's like we're drinking our own piss. I really wasn't in the mood for laughter. In fact, Oishi-san was the only one laughing like an idiot. Okay, seriously, please do your best. Let's go home, Keiichi-kun. It'll be harder to wake up tomorrow if we don't. Yes, that's right. I can always bring you home if you need. Kuma-chan, why don't you bring the car around? No thanks. We came on our bicycles, so... No need to worry. We came in a truck. We'll just throw the bikes in the back. We may have gotten pretty sleepy, but we just needed a ride home. We just needed to ride home at this point. I didn't want to bother the police like that. Reina, however, nodded. Okay, if you insist, we'd appreciate it. It's probably safer than if we went back alone. When I thought about it carefully, I realized that Reina's idea was extremely rational. Now that it's decided, let's get a move on, shall we? Okay, bye. Good night, Reina, Kei-chan. Yeah, Mi-chan, you go to bed soon too, okay? Good night. I waved my hand as well, saying goodbye. Rika-chan and Satoko still hadn't been found. My unease, however, was steadily being pushed away by sleepiness. Reina showed the police where our bicycles were so that Oishi-san could haul them up into their truck. He prompted us to get into the back seat. I could hear the spring squeaking as I sat down onto the seat that would normally hurt my rear end, but at this point it was very soft and was more than comfortable enough for me to fall asleep on. Ladies first, we'll start with the little Mrs. house. Where do you live? Thank you. My house as well. Reina's voice slowly grew distant. I felt myself being sucked into the void of sleep. Hello? Maibara-san, are you asleep back there? When I came to, it was quiet. The car was parked. Oishi-san was giving me light slaps to the cheek. It didn't feel good at all, so I woke up immediately. I'm sorry, I just fell asleep. Something was being held right under my nose. A clump of metal? It was a can of coffee. It's lukewarm by now, but cafe au lait is good even at room temperature. Oh, thanks. I mechanically took the can and opened the pull top. The feeling of warm, sweet liquid going down my throat awakened my sleepy mind. When my drowsiness receded, I started wanting to know why the car was stopped and why I was offered coffee. Oishi-san, who had been in the driver's seat, had at some point moved to the back. Suddenly, I had a very bad feeling about this. And with that, guys, we're actually going to end this one here. So we'll see what Oishi-san wants with us in the next one. See you then. Bye.